when she fell in a septic pit. Teresa's world as it had been known collapsed. Her leg broke into two, and that was it. Her fate was rewritten, and she began days of agony as her leg began to rot away. The person who had dug the pit and left it uncovered only gave her peripheral support, refusing to take responsibility for his negligence. Teresa had resigned to her new destiny. She was confined to her sickbed for 3 years until she was informed that Justice Centres Uganda, Hoima, could help with her case. The help she received when she visited the centre has brought a fresh smile to her face and made her walk with her head high once again. Teresa had not known that she had rights to claim. The immediate settlement will not give her back her limb as it was, but it gives her satisfaction that at least justice has been served without her having to pay for it.
Nebaza Justice Centre banyamba kubanga ensonga zange zaali zikalubya omusajja nga aganye okunzijanjaba kyokka nampa ssente nenkolaki nensobola okujjanjaba okuggulu ate tewali kintu kyonna kigamba nti oba nabawayo akantu bwe kati.
Teresa and many like her are part of a growing number of vulnerable people who continue to get legal aid services provided by Justice Centres Uganda.
Because people can now walk in and get a free service without any bribery or corruption, means we are helping them access justice easier, faster, quicker.
Justice Centres are a one-stop legal aid service delivery model that bridges the gap between the supply and demand sides of justice across civil and criminal areas for indigents. At the same time, Justice Centres Uganda empowers individuals and communities to claim their rights and demand for policy and social change. Justice Centres Uganda represents the beginning of fundamental efforts to restructure the provision of legal aid in Uganda.
One of our primary roles is to bridge the demand and supply sides of justice. Because the court exists, but people fear it. The police exists, but it has its challenges. So for us, we bridge these two.
The Justice Centres Uganda provides the government of Uganda with the necessary experience and lessons of a new model of legal aid service provision which focuses on efficiency, quality, and cost effectiveness.
We make sure we give them the best advice that money can get. So we think about the richest person in Uganda and we say what kind of legal services would they get with all their money, and we try to deliver that.
The experiences and successes form a basis to advocate for reorganizing of and increasing state funding for legal aid. Legal aid is a human right and also a key ingredient of the right to a fair hearing under Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR. As the key duty bearer to respect, protect, promote and fulfill human rights of citizens, the state is expected to provide legal aid to those who are unable to afford paid services of a lawyer so as to seek legal redress. This calls for a number of strategies, including the establishment of functioning institutions and systems and enhancing access to legal aid. Legal aid is not only a human right, but also a prerequisite to the enjoyment of other rights, including equality before the law, the right to be heard, fair trial, and access to justice, among other basic human rights. Legal aid services in Uganda have for a long time been provided by both the state and non-state actors without any comprehensive policy backing from the government. Justice Centres' mission is to promote the rights of vulnerable communities through provision of quality human rights-based legal aid, legal and rights awareness, community outreach, empowerment, and advocacy. Justice Centres Uganda has 4 strategic objectives. These are to enhance awareness of human rights and empower communities to claim their rights, to enable vulnerable communities and individuals to effectively resolve disputes using both litigation and alternative dispute resolution, to undertake human rights-centered and evidence-based advocacy for reform of laws, policies and practices, and to pilot justice centres as a model for delivery of legal aid services in Uganda. Objective 1. to enhance awareness of human rights and empower communities to claim their rights. The services of legal aid and legal education are few and far between throughout the country. The level of rights awareness and avenues to pursue them is therefore low. Justice Centres Uganda addresses these limitations through systematic legal and human rights awareness and education, follow-up and feedback. Activities include legal and human rights awareness campaigns within communities, legal and human rights education for specific target groups such as youth and women leaders, legal advice, counseling and mediation, following awareness sessions otherwise called mobile legal aid clinic. All the above activities are supplemented by media activities and IEC materials.
We go out to the communities deep down and we create awareness. We sensitize the communities. We've done different booklets, some of them which look like this, which we simplify the law and we distribute them.
We have actively engaged, in fact, on a daily basis, been to the police station for suspects parades. The police normally has these, they have the suspects parades conducted every morning to identify who should go to court, who should, generally who was brought in. We have been a part of this. A paralegal from Justice Centres goes there every day, and through this we have managed at least to ensure that people don't overstay in police cells. So in a way, we have influenced a lot of changes there at the police.
Strategic Objective 2: to enable vulnerable individuals and communities to effectively resolve disputes using both litigation and alternative dispute resolution, ADR. The clear link between poverty and limited access to justice underlies the strategic decision to take Justice Centres programs to rural communities. In order to enjoy access to justice, indigent people require institutions that are quick, relevant and effective in meeting their needs for legal protection. Under this strategic objective, Justice Centres Uganda streamlines legal aid services in order to ensure effective resolution of disputes by providing client-focused one-stop centres in the 4 regions of Uganda. The following activities have been implemented towards the realization of this strategic objective. The legal aid clinics are conducted covering a broad scope of both criminal and civil matters.
Ati eitaka bali twende liona kyonka ate bunagenzera Justice Center eitaka lyange bayijja bakola kibatuweta twabitahamu eitaka erimu hali ero baligarura hakwabo bayendaga hona ndugire okimwa kisaka kiona Justice Center kunyamba kwaye kisaka kyange kindi kyagaruka kindi kyasigara kyalemera yekyo kyonka kimu yakigarura na hali ndi bwire bunali nkubaliza Justice Center niyo yanyambire kora kubando.
The clinics are stationary at the Justice Centres program offices, and mobile clinics carried along with the community awareness activities. The clinics prioritize use of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, particularly mediation. Where no option for ADR exists, Justice Centres Uganda provides legal representation in courts of law and also seeks to settle disputes through restorative justice. Justice Centres also provide psychosocial counseling services to the clients considered to be in need of it, or refer them to other social actors to look into the social and cultural dimensions of their complaints. Justice Centres refers matters that require specialization to other agencies that exist within their areas of operation and ensure regular follow-up as need be.
We have what we call psychosocial specialists who help to heal the heart. For us, we heal the mind with legal problems. They heal the heart with their technical expertise as counselors, as people who understand the human being, okay? And they help them to make them whole again, even after going through a legal problem, or as they go through a legal problem, or as they go through a social problem that ended up into a legal problem.
A toll-free line has been instituted to facilitate follow-up and feedback on cases within the clinics as well as those referred elsewhere. Legal aid is also provided through the toll-free line on a needs basis.
We have a toll-free line in each center where people call in and they ask whatever they want to ask, or they tell us about their problems, and we help them. We make sure we give them the best advice that money can get.
The twin strategy of litigation and alternative dispute resolution has ensured that disputes are settled amicably. Most cases commenced at the centres are addressed through ADR. In Hoima, for example, many community members respond to mediation invitations, which show that it is appreciated as a mode of dispute resolution.
We find that a lot of cases can get resolved through mediation because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's easier, it's amicable.
We think that it's a mode of dispute resolution that should be embraced by all, because it fights the backlog that we have in the courts.
We encourage people to settle matters out of court, and that there is no good in having a matter, had over 3 to 5 years or 7 years, and yet that matter can just be sorted in just one day. Some people are even biological siblings, like a biological brother suing a sister in court over just land that was never distributed by their father.
Courts find it more preferable to refer all cases for mediation to justice centres, which we call court-annexed mediations. So we have supported the court in this regard and helped resolve a number of cases before they even begin hearing them in court.
We have referred various cases to them for mediation before courts start hearing the cases, and they have helped us in that way, which has reduced on backlog, because most of the cases which we refer to them for mediation, most of them end at that stage, and we reduce on our backlog.
Strategic Objective 3: to undertake human rights-centered and evidence-based advocacy for reform of laws, policies and practices. One of the key weaknesses in legal aid has been limited advocacy at community, district and national levels for reform of law, policy and practice. Justice Centres Uganda seeks to reverse this trend by building awareness of human and legal rights among vulnerable communities and using that as a basis for advocacy at all levels, particularly the community where impact is likely to be felt quicker. Advocacy is undertaken in partnership with other stakeholders through existing fora. To provide a basis for evidence-based advocacy, Justice Centres Uganda undertakes research supported by policy briefs and media campaigns to create public debate on the advocacy issues and inform reform. During the mediation or litigation, advocates, legal officers and paralegals are required to pay close attention to the explanatory factors for cases they are handling. These underlying problems are recorded in the case files. The research and analysis involve a periodic review of case files to establish the underlying legal problems of cases reported to inform advocacy. Establishing an underlying problem of, say, land disputes could call for policy advocacy to address the appropriate policy or programming gap, such as boundary marking or inefficient land dispute resolution processes.
Pima 20.
Mwenda, 10.
Aha.
20.
Ongambi abiri genda paka.
The successful implementation of the planned activities has the potential to reinvigorate evidence-based advocacy at national, regional and local levels. The renewed advocacy should ultimately result into a legal and policy environment for practices by former justice agencies and local and communal structure.
We organize what we call mobile legal aid clinics or barazas, where we invite the general public or the communities at the local level, and we also invite the justice, law and order sector institutions to talk to these people and for the people to ask their questions.
Our outreaches are having impacts. We have seen people, after their disputes have been mediated by the local leaders, people say, we want someone from justice centers to be present when we finally execute this agreement. We want a justice center staff to come and witness, for instance, a boundary opening or something like that. That showed us that indeed our services are appreciated by the people out there, and people believe that our presence makes a whole lot of differences.
They have promoted reconciliation of the parties, which is a very good thing because the parties go back to their society when they have become friends again.
Objective 4. To pilot justice centres as a model for delivery of legal aid services in Uganda. In the pioneering of the Justice Centres Uganda, the model relied heavily on the legal aid service delivery model of the Republic of South Africa. The model draws its mandate from the Constitution and subsequent laws of the Republic of South Africa, which has ring-fenced funding for legal aid. For sustainability, Justice Centres Uganda will seek to advocate for the amendment of the Constitution to reflect legal aid as a mandate of government. Justice Centres has been tested as a model for delivery of legal aid services in Uganda. The Justice Centres pilot was supposed to provide the government of Uganda with the necessary experience and lessons of a new model of legal aid service provision, which focuses on efficiency, quality, and cost-effectiveness. The experiences and success of the pilot formed a basis to advocate for reorganizing of and increasing state funding to legal aid. The successful implementation of the pilot provides a model of legal aid service delivery that can be replicated in other areas.
We are developing Justice Centres Uganda's institutional capacity to deliver legal aid, like a state model that is supposed to deliver legal aid to all poor persons in the country.
Justice Centres Uganda continues to have a positive impact on legal aid in Uganda.
We believe that once we provide our findings in terms of the best practices and how, lessons learned on how to deliver legal aid, that our voice will be heard. We want to work to create advocacy and also to talk to the powers that be so that they can create a national legal aid institution.